A US strike that killed 11 men was no accident. New testimony now reveals a verbal order, kill everybody on board, allegedly issued before the operation even began. What unfolded off the coast of Venezuela wasn't just lethal, it may have been criminal. A shocking revelation has come from the two people directly involved in the US operation against drug traffickers, which killed 11 people in a boat off the coast of Venezuela on September 2nd. The Washington Post reported, citing two sources, that before the operation began, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a verbal order to kill everybody on board. The sources told the Washington Post that the longer the US surveillance aircraft followed the boat, the more confident intelligence analysts watching from command centers became that the 11 people on board were ferrying drugs. A missile was launched off the Trinidad coast, striking the vessel and igniting a blaze from bow to stern. For minutes, commanders watched the boat burning on a live drone feed. As the smoke cleared, they got a jolt. Two survivors were clinging to the smoldering wreck. The Special Operations Commander, overseeing the September 2nd attack, the opening salvo in the Trump administration's war on suspected drug traffickers in the Western Hemisphere, ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions. Two people familiar with the matter said,
"The two men were blown apart in the water."
Hegseth's order, which has not been previously reported, adds another dimension to the campaign against suspected drug traffickers. Some current and former US officials and law of war experts have said that the Pentagon's lethal campaign, which has killed more than 80 people to date, is unlawful and may expose those most directly involved to future prosecution. The alleged traffickers pose no imminent threat of attack against the United States and are not, as the Trump administration has tried to argue, in an armed conflict with the US, these officials and experts told the Washington Post. Todd Huntley, a former military lawyer who advised Special Operations Forces for 7 years at the height of the US counterterrorism campaign, said,
"Because there is no legitimate war between the two sides, killing any of the men in the boats amounts to murder. Even if the US were at war with the traffickers, an order to kill all the boat's occupants if they were no longer able to fight would in essence be an order to show no quarter, which would be a war crime."
Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell declined to address questions about Hegseth's order and other details of the operation, including Special Operations involvement.
This entire narrative is completely false. Ongoing operations to dismantle narco-terrorism and to protect the homeland from deadly drugs have been a resounding success.
The commander overseeing the operation from Fort Bragg in North Carolina, Adamayuv Frank M. Mitch Bradley, said that the survivors were still legitimate targets because they could theoretically call other traffickers to retrieve them and their cargo, according to two people. He ordered the second strike to fulfill Hegseth's directive that everyone must be killed. Following the strike, US President Donald Trump released a redacted 29-second surveillance drone video showing the attack. The video does not include any footage of the subsequent strike on the survivors. In the weeks following that attack, the Trump administration notified Congress that the US was in a non-international armed conflict with designated terrorist organizations, supported by an opinion from the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel that asserted that because the US was in an armed conflict, personnel taking part in military strikes who were following orders consistent with the laws of war would not be exposed to prosecution. However, since that first attack, the Pentagon has hit at least 22 more boats, including one semi-submersible in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean, killing another 71 alleged drug smugglers, according to officials and internal data seen by the Washington Post without any accountability. Trump and the Pentagon have said that the September 2nd strike targeted members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, but have not provided evidence to support those claims. In subsequent strikes, the administration has referred to the alleged smugglers as members of designated terrorist organizations, a blanket term that lacks detail.